Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you how I made this pretty Christmas card. This is called an Eclipse card, where the letters are raised in place but are still part of the overall design, and you can see inside the raised letters, and I put a red background in this so you can see the red kind of peeking through. This card was inspired by one of the demonstrators in my demonstrator group out here in Denver. Her name is Amy Taylor, and Amy's a very talented demonstrator, and this was the card that she swapped, and I had the opportunity to really kind of look at this, and I just thought it was so pretty, so elegant and simple, and I got the idea that I might be able to use the wreaths like she did here to create the Eclipse card. So that's where my inspiration came from, and basically what we're doing is making our own DSP here and then raising the letters. So what you need to make this card is you need a piece of old olive, and this is take 2 for me, so some of the things have been done. You need a piece of old olive that's 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and you need 2 pieces of real red. One is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and that's this top one that you can see is layered with ever so tiny a border around the outside here showing the green. And then on the inside is one that is 4 by 5 1/4, and so that will layer on the inside. Then we need a couple of pieces of Whisper White, and we need, let's see, the first one, this is for the inside, measures, let's see, the inside one measures 3 3/4 by 5, and we'll do a little bit of stamping. Actually, I have done a little bit of stamping on it in take 1, and so this card will layer here on the inside, and in fact, we can just go ahead and put that piece in place. All of the work we're going to end up doing on the front panel, and let me just center this in here. And there we've got our decoration for the inside of the card. Now, what we're going to be spending our time on is this piece. This piece is 5 1/4 by 4. Let me make sure that's right. Yes, 5 1/4 by 4. And this is the piece that we're going to do all of our stamping in order to get the decoration on the front of the card. So I'm going to take some scratch paper here, and I have mounted the stamp sets that I'm using. Let me just tell you what they are. From the Painted Harvest stamp set, I'm using this 2-step stamp to create the, in the case of this set, it was intended to be a sunflower, but it's going to create our wreath here. And I'm using this little 5-dot series here to create the little red interest on the card. Then this stamp is Hollyberry Happiness, and I'm using this holly sprig, and this is also a 2-step stamping process, so I'm using the outline plus the inside solid piece to make the holly that you see on the card front here. So I have my, let's see, the inks that I'm using. Let's see, I am using Old Olive, and I'm using Real Red. I'm going to move these cards out of the way so I can make room here so that you can see what it is I'm doing. All right, so I have my stamps mounted here, and this is the first of the stamps, and you can see it's got a little bit of a pattern. It does not stamp evenly. It's not supposed to. It stamps a little bit uneven, but that's the way it's supposed to work. So I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat here because this is a photopolymer and needs some support. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to put one of those images right down here, kind of in this corner. There we go. And you see it doesn't stamp evenly, but that's the way it's supposed to stamp. So then I'm going to put another one over in this corner. There we go. And I'm going to put one last one right up here at the top of the card. All right, so that is that stamp. And then what we're going to do is use the second stamp here and ink that up, and you'll see that there is in the stamp set, it's almost an uneven elliptical circle here. There is a part that kind of bumps out on this, and if you look at this stamp, there's a part that kind of bumps out to this side. So what I'm going to try and do is line this up with this edge here and stamp as close to covering that center as I can get. And stamp down, and there we have a nice image. Okay, see if I can do that 2 more times. Okay. The thing is, it's really fairly forgiving. There's sort of missed the spot there on that one, but it's all okay. And there we have our 3 little wreaths, if you will. And then we're going to move on to the 2 stamps for the holly image. And this one again is two-step stamping, and this is the outline. What I found with this set is it's real important to just stamp down and then up again, no rocking, because if you do, you will get, oh geez, that didn't stamp very well. Let me see if I can do that again. See how close I can get to coming right down over that image. Well, first I'm going to clean it so you have the best chance of being able to do that. To get even pressure is the most important part. Boy, I'm not happy with that at all. We're going to have to start that over on the other side. So back to this image here. Down here in the corner. One near the top. And one more over on this corner. Okay. And then this one to complete our image, and again I'm going to try and match that circle and get that as close to right on top of that image as I can. Okay, there we go. Now, try this again, and I'm going to ink up my stamp, making sure I got plenty of ink on it, and I'm going to put one of these holly sprays here in the corner. That's a better stamped image. All right, and on this one, I'm going to move it around, go a little bit off the page. There we go. And right up here, between these images. There we go. Now clean that. And I'm just going to put a few little holly images around to kind of fill in. There we go. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is use the second in that stamp. Now, the trick here is to try and get this lined up, the beauty of photopolymer here. And I want a much fainter color on the inside. So I'm going to stamp off once, and then I'm going to see if I can't match up where I was stamping before. And there we go. And you don't have to be perfect, just kind of getting it in the right vicinity. And I did like the stamping off because this is so two-tone. I thought it would be good if this matched. So now I'm going to try and just match these around the card. We have it. So now we have the holly leaves and the wreaths on here. The next thing is this little 5-dot stamp, and I'm doing that in real red, and I'm putting dots in various places around the card. Okay, I think that's enough of those. And the next thing I'm going to do is to line up my letter framelits here so that they will be spaced evenly on the card front and straight across the face of the card here. And I'm going to go run those on my Big Shot, and I'll be right back. I'm back, and I have my pieces cut. And so I have the N, the O and its circle, very important to hang on to the circle, and the E and the L. I put these on here straight to the best of my ability. And I will move these dies out of the way now and bring back our card base. And what we need to do is stick down our card base. So I'm going to just use my silicone mat here and put some adhesive down on the card base here. And I want to catch, when I put adhesive down, whether you use wet glue or snail or whatever, all of these little points and edges that could stick up once you put your card together. So adding some adhesive around some of those elements is probably a good idea. Okay, so now I can bring back my card base here, and this is going to go on here with a fairly small border as well. So there we go. And then, in order to put these letters in place, I am using this, which is the foam adhesive strips. And these strips are wonderful for just this kind of project. Let me grab a package of them out of here. And I'll need my snips. All right. Now, you'll notice here that when you turn your card to the side, you can see where the foam adhesive strips are. And so on some of them, it doesn't look as neat as I would like to have it. So my thought process is that if you have a straight line here, 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 and up here, but along these bottoms, rather than have a couple of pieces down here, you should have a piece that goes across, across, and then all the way down. And that way it looks neat when somebody's looking at it from the side trying to figure out what it is you've done. So to that end, I'm going to cut a strip of these adhesives. I'm using the edge, so I have to cut it off. So to that end, on my N, in order for that to look neat from the side, I need a piece to go across the bottom. I think I need my silicone mat for this. As much across the bottom as I'm going to have it go. Then trim. So from the side or from the bottom, it's going to look like just one piece. Then all the way down the leg of this N, I want to have it just be one strip, and I'm butting it up against this one and having it come all the way to the end. So oftentimes people can't see what we've done to adhere something on the back, and it doesn't matter how it goes together. In this case, they'll be able to see. So, so I want to use whole long pieces wherever I can. There's other projects that I can use these little ends for, and so I'll save them. But I'm going to pull off another long strip here of this adhesive strips to go all the way down the center of the end, butting it up against this bunch down here, coming to the top, and snipping that off, and then same thing across here. I'm going to pick up and have one piece coming down. Oops. I got that set on its side so there was no sticky. So right down that center piece, I'm going to cut it off before the bottom. Then I can use one of these little pieces to go across there, and I'll just need a little piece of that. Let's see, probably my tweezers might help me here. I think that needs to still be a little bit shorter. There we go. And I'm going to butt that right up against the other one, so that when you look at that from the side, it's got a minimal amount of distraction and looks pretty neat. So that's the N done. Now the O is a little bit more challenging in that I think I'm just going to put around on both sides, and again, continuous strip from the top. And that's nice about these strips, is they do bend a bit, so I can get it pretty much all the way down here to the bottom, sticking that around that sort of oval. And the same thing here from the top of the O, making that little turn and coming down. Now, you know, there's a lot of that stuff that we do that you can't see from the outside. This is one of those few places where they can see. So if it doesn't bother you that it's got lots of pieces on the other side that can be seen, then you can just do little pieces and chunks. But for me, I like it to be neat from no matter which direction they're looking at it. So same thing along here. I'm going to set this piece right down the middle of the E and cut it off. This piece I think will work perfectly on that little bar on the E. And then I'll need, let's see, maybe this strip can go along here to the end. And this one cut in half will probably work on these two little pieces here. So one there, and one one there. These two little pieces will get tossed, and then I can take another strip and let's see. It looks like I need a piece about that long. Okay, there's my E, and then I just need my L, and this is the same kind of thing. Well, if I do this piece first, then I'll have something to butt up against. So if I go along here, There we go. All right, so that's probably the most tedious work on this whole project here. And these adhesive strips are great for shaker cards too, because they can walk around corners and around circles. So the next thing is just to carefully place these letters back in place. And on these, it's just like the back of a dimensional. Sometimes if you push those down, then the edges pick up and it's pretty easy to get the paper off. You want to carefully place your letter back in place. And see, that is now nice and neat around the edges. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now our O. And the only trick here is to get it back so that it matches the pattern. The O would work either way, but if you are careful when you place it, it will be right back in the pattern that it was before you cut it out. The same thing with the center of the O, which we're going to have to put back in place. And I'm just going to use a little bit of snail on it. And then, let's see, I think it goes back in this way. So it's a matter of getting it down and getting it dropped back into place. That might be better with wet glue so you can manipulate it around in case you're off a little bit. But there, now the pattern continues on the raised part and the lower part. Now on to our E. Obviously this would be a lot harder if you had more letters that had parts that were cut out. It would just take a little bit longer to put them together. All right, so that is the placing of the letters back in. I really think that's very pretty. It's a lot of impact for not too much doing. The last piece that I added to this was I used some of the glitter enamel dots just to give a tiny bit of sparkle to the outside and the inside of this card. And I put one of these very large pieces, let's see, on this one I think I'm going to put it right here, and I just put 3 of them on, and maybe one over here and one right down here. And then on the inside, I did put one of the larger ones right here on the edge. So there you have it. That's our project for the day. And I think it's very pretty and very unusual looking. Like I said, I've seen a couple of these out and about on the internet. And I don't know who to credit. The first one of these, I must have seen 6 or 7 of them out there, and it doesn't take very much to figure out how to do them. but whoever came up with it originally was brilliant, and I wish I could give them credit for it. But that's the project for the day, and everything you see here can be purchased on my 24/7 shop, www.lbettinger.stampinup.net. And if you don't already have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator, and or you could join my team. The details, all of the sizes and measurements and products are noted below the video, along with my contact information if you're interested in placing an order or in joining my team. Telephone number is there. Feel free to give me a call. So the prize draw this month is I think it's called Merry Little Labels. It's a stamp set and then the label punch that's new this year. And so if you put in an order on my website, your name goes into a drawing and you could be the winner of that Merry Little Labels bundle. When you place an order with me, you do get a thank you card at the end of the month. And if your order is $25 or more, you get a free gift, a product gift or a handmade gift from me. And so that's it for me today. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching. I do appreciate it. I love hearing from you, and I love hearing your comments. And so I'll be back next time with more projects and more cards. And until then, bye.